A new sentence has been handed down in connection to Young Dolph's murder. And honestly, no one is surprised, especially after the shooter confessed that it was Gotti's own brother who paid to have Dolph taken out.
Had a hit on whose head?
He just had a hit on Dolph head and whatnot.
How much money was it supposed to be?
100,000 on Dolph head.
Apparently, it was all done at Gotti's request. I've got the full breakdown, let's get into it. This is the blood money conspiracy that shook Memphis to its core. For years, the streets of Memphis have been holding their breath, watching a deadly game of chess unfold between two rap empires that simply couldn't coexist in the same city. And now, with the smoke finally cleared and the verdicts handed down, the truth behind Young Dolph's assassination has come to light, and all roads lead back to a feud that should have never gone this far. The bitter rivalry between Adolph Thornton Jr., better known as Young Dolph, and Mario Mims, aka Yo Gotti. Their beef started around 2014 and slowly escalated, diss tracks, sneak disses, and eventually, real-life gunplay. But this wasn't just about music. This was about power, respect, and street-level dominance. And in Memphis, that kind of tension can turn deadly fast, especially when pride starts outrunning common sense. Everything came crashing down during the most explosive murder trial Memphis has seen in years. When prosecutors laid out their case, it played out like a real-life crime documentary, step by step, blow by blow. On September 26, 2024, Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 35 years. But that wasn't even the craziest part. That conviction was just the tip of the iceberg. The real bombshell dropped when Cornelius Smith, one of the alleged shooters, flipped on his co-defendants and spilled everything to save himself. According to court records reported by Fox 13, Smith testified that Johnson was the second gunman, and that the hit came with a promised payout of $40,000. But after it was all said and done, Smith claimed he walked away with only $500.
$500 in a level.
$500 in a letter. And obviously you're supposed to get $40,000.
Right.
But you got $500 in a letter.
That courtroom testimony hit like a bomb. It finally connected the last pieces prosecutors had been trying to lock into place for years. But then, things took a shocking turn, because Smith didn't just admit to being one of the shooters. He dropped a bombshell. Smith revealed that Anthony "Big Juke" Mims, the brother of rapper Yo Gotti, had put a $100,000 bounty on Young Dolph's head. And that kind of money? That's not street-level beef. That's cartel-level serious. It made one thing clear, they wanted Dolph gone, badly. Prosecutors laid out a timeline that felt cold, calculated, and ruthless. According to Smith, he sat in on meetings with both Goon and Big Juke where the plan to murder Dolph was openly discussed. And this wasn't just personal, it was business. Smith testified that the hit was tied to a promise. If Johnson pulled it off, he'd be rewarded with a record deal from CMG. So this wasn't just about revenge. It was about removing an obstacle. Someone who stood in the way of CMG's rise. Someone who couldn't be bought. Someone who couldn't be controlled. And the evidence backed up every word. Starting with the surveillance footage, haunting, chilling, capturing Dolph's final moments in graphic detail.
So Dolph,
Yes, sir.
the chain around his neck, is that the PRE chain?
Yes, sir.
The one that we saw in the exhibit?
Yes, sir.
And there's Marcus behind him?
Yes, sir.
The footage captured Young Dolph in his final moments, calm, unaware, and at peace, completely oblivious to the fact that killers were just seconds away from ending his life over a feud that had been simmering for nearly a decade. Surveillance video from the scene showed a white Mercedes pulling up, followed by two gunmen jumping out. Johnson was armed with a handgun, while Smith carried what appeared to be military-grade weaponry. The way it all unfolded wasn't some spontaneous street altercation, it was a calculated hit, executed with deadly precision and the kind of resources that only serious money can buy. But the most heartbreaking part came from those who knew and loved Dolph the most. His longtime partner, Mia J., has been forced to carry not only her own grief but also the unbearable burden of helping their children cope with the trauma of losing their father to such senseless violence.
Kids, to be honest, they're doing a lot better. I was listening to this interview the other day with Charleston White, and he was talking about the effects of like young boys or whatever, but he was so angry.
The pain in Mia J's voice as she described how their son changed after losing his father cuts deeper than any diss track or street feud ever could.
When I tell you, like, Stellar Child, he was that. But he was so angry, and like, I'm talking about, like, if I was like, give me the phone, he like, no. Like, he want to step up to me, anybody, he'll step up to.
This is the real cost of hip-hop violence, not just the loss of talent, but the destruction of families and the deep trauma etched into children who will carry those emotional scars for life. What makes this conspiracy even more disturbing is that Smith, who was promised $40,000 to take a life, ended up with just $500, delivered in a letter he later fled with. Imagine that, throwing away your entire future, tearing apart lives, and all you got was pocket change. Meanwhile, the people who ordered the hit kept living like kings, mansions, Bentleys, and all.
What'd you do with the letter?
I flushed down the toilet in the hotel.
We've reached the end, fam. For more powerful stories like this, make sure to click the card showing on the screen. Young Dolph's murder wasn't just another rap beef, it was a bold, public assassination that shook an entire city and left Memphis in mourning. And now, new details are emerging, with the streets buzzing louder than ever. How much money was on the table? Reportedly, $100,000. That's right, $100,000 to take out one of Memphis's most respected icons. But the real question is, who funded the hit? Was it really Gotti behind it? Let's break it all down, the alleged hit and what really happened in the tragic killing of Young Dolph. On November 17, 2021, the rap world lost a real one. Memphis legend Young Dolph was gunned down while picking up cookies from Akita's homemade butter cookies, a local spot in his hometown. The paper route empire boss had stopped by to grab snacks before a Thanksgiving turkey giveaway he had planned for the community. That's who Dolph was, always giving back to the same streets that raised him. But someone had other plans, and they were deadly.
My auntie love y'all, but my grandmama came here, my uncle came here, like, I got like a family history thing going on coming through here. So I just want to really, like, give y'all flowers that y'all know y'all appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? From the bottom of my heart.
Now everyone's wondering, is this why certain rappers were acting strange back then? Remember that odd IG live from a few months ago? At the time, people brushed it off. But now, with this new testimony, it's starting to look real suspicious. You can literally see the shift happening online. Old interviews are resurfacing. Tweets are getting deleted. Stories are being wiped. People are cleaning house, fast. Because if this guy keeps naming names, it's not just the shooters who'll be taken down, it's the people funding them, too. And we all know, when you hit the money, that's when the real panic starts.
7 years old at the time? 7 years old, talking about, or 8 years old. I'm tired of not letting him, like making him feel like I'm scared of him. And I was like, I don't think he think you scared of him. He was like, well, I'm going to speak up. He spoke up. He stepped to the dude. He got picked up by his little karate suit up in the air about 6 feet off the ground. I recognized my son after his father passed up until like probably the beginning of this year. So angry, and was never that child. Like when I tell you like stellar child, he was that. But he was so angry, and like I'm talking about like if I was like, give me the phone, he like no. Like he want to step up to me, anybody. He'll step up to anybody.
My artist, Big Moochie, great. He's from the east side, he's from East Memphis, so we'll be in East Memphis, like everybody, we be passing out turkeys all over the city.
One thing's for sure, Dolph wasn't sloppy. He had cameras, security, and people watching his back. But according to this testimony, the hit was planned for months. Different cars. Burner phones. Out-of-town drop-offs. This wasn't random, it was strategic. And that's what has everyone sick. Because to pull something like this off, you need backing. You need money. You need silence. And silence? It's expensive.
Memphis police chief is asking everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed at a South Memphis cookie shop.
Meanwhile, fans are devastated. Not just because Dolph is gone, but because the betrayal might have come from inside his own circle. People he showed love to. People he gave opportunities to. Might have helped set him up. The streets aren't just mourning anymore. They're questioning everything. Every cosign. Every shout-out. Every photo. Was it all fake?
The last week has felt like an eternity for a Memphis woman.
My kids can't even go outside no more.
A simple act this mother no longer takes for granted after she and her uncle were shot outside of her home on Eldridge Avenue. This all stemmed from an argument at the B52 market where a man allegedly threatened to kill her after she confronted him about her child. She says the man then followed her home and opened fire.
Charges for the deadly crime spree in Memphis during Super Bowl Sunday. Cordarian Kraft was indicted on 48 counts, including first-degree murder and aggravated assault. During the crime spree, Kraft shot and killed one man, hurt 2 women, and carjacked 2 other people. That weekend in February, Kraft had been out on a $100,000 bond after being accused in a separate robbing and shooting this past November.
Now let's talk legal for a second. Because this guy just opened up in court. And he's clearly angling for a plea deal. But with the way he's tossing names around, the prosecution might not even need him anymore. They've got enough to start building serious cases. And if even half of it checks out, it's about to get ugly. Indictments. Raids. RICO charges. And guess what? It's not going to stop in Memphis.
If I open the deep freezer to get a popsicle, it stacks some money in the deep freezer. If they drop me off over my auntie house to play with my cousin, it stacks some.
So what happens next? Well, the streets are watching. The feds are watching. And hip-hop? It's about to face another reality check. Because when money, ego, and silence collide, someone always ends up talking. And this time, it might be the beginning of the end. For some major names.
My grandma was she was little, she one of them little bitty ladies, you know what I'm saying? Then she older. But man, my grandmama don't play no game. I'm talking about, like, now it ain't even about the ass whoop. She would do that when I was little, but she still had this fear that made me fear her even when I was in high school and got grown and older. You feel me? Like, she give you this look or she got this, she'll cuss you out in a second and not even think about it.
And it's not just the streets reacting. Record labels are going quiet. Artists are distancing themselves. And some fans? They're torn between the music they love and the truth that's starting to unfold. Because let's be honest, if even half of what's being said is true, then a lot of people were complicit. Not just through silence, but by financing that silence. And that's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't just about Dolph. It's about the entire ecosystem that allowed this to happen. The music, the clicks, the culture. They all played a part. So now that it's unraveling, people don't know whether to mourn, get angry, or just stay quiet and hope it all blows over.
Where you at? Where you at? We ain't catch that right now. We just go.
But let's not lose sight of what this is really about. A father. A husband. A community leader. A man who gave back, stayed independent, and stood by his values. That's what makes it so tragic. Because this wasn't just jealousy. It was betrayal. And maybe that's what hurts the most. And the man testifying? He knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to cut his sentence, save himself. And shift just enough blame to walk free. But the internet doesn't forget. And whether the law catches up or not, the streets have already reached their verdict.